in, so I was quite interested. So I just want to join in to see what's all about, and probably to gain some insight as to what's going on.
Right, okay. And what's your work line? What do you do?
I work in a school.
Right, okay.
Support staff in a primary school.
Right, okay. In the borough?
Yeah, no, actually it's in Southwark Borough, not Lewisham.
In the Southwark Borough, okay, okay.
Yes, I'm a nursery nurse.
Right, I see, okay. Makeda, how are you? She's frozen.
Makeda's frozen.
Maybe that might be me soon if I don't get to do this.
I was just saying, Makeda, how are you? Then you froze.
Yeah, my connection's unstable. It might throw me out and put me back in again.
Right,
it
okay.
keeps doing that.
Right.
Yeah, it throws me out and puts me back. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But, hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. How many more people are you waiting for? You've still got time anyway, haven't you? Yes.
Yes, I was just thinking. About, we've got a reputation for timekeeping.
Oh.
Yeah, I try not to live up to that stereotype.
I think for me, 6:30 means 6:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even a couple of minutes before to settle in,
Yes, because this is the first time I'm doing this. So I had to download this app.
Okay.
So I just thought, well, I need to get myself, ready. I don't want to be fumbling around. 6:30, yes. I'll just wait. Have you joined these before, or is this your first time?
Oh my gosh, I've been doing Zoom for years. I'm on Zoom every day practically. I'm on Zoom doing something or another.
Okay.
Yeah, been a good maybe about 2 years now I've been using Zoom.
No, I used to use Skype, then it's like FaceTime, and I don't bother. I just try to stay away from these technology as much as I can. Only use it when you need to.
Yeah, it's the way it's all going now, though.
Yeah,
so
the way forward.
Yeah,
so
I know.
You can see I'm joining. I'm getting with it.
Yeah. I'm really, really proud of the women. Well, I said some of the people from my church because they're quite elderly, but they're all on their app now. They're all on Zoom now. They're like, that's the only way we're going to get any communication.
Oh, yeah, that's me. I'm one of the elderly ones. I might not look it.
No, they are elderly. They are elderly.
My daughter said, "Mum, you have to get." My daughter said, "Mum, you have to get with the times." So that's what I'm doing. Getting with the times.
Yeah. My camera might go off, but I'm still here. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I don't really know as well how it would work, because I'm just hoping that nothing froze or anything happens with this, because goodness, I'd be so embarrassed.
Well, what tends to happen with mine, if it freezes for too long and it goes off, you just leave it and it puts you back in again.
Okay.
So yeah, if it throws you off, then don't be too alarmed. It will put you back in again.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I don't really know, because I only just downloaded it about 4:30 today. It's about that time. So I don't really, and I just went to check in, did everything, and just thought I'll wait and see what happens. So I don't know. I'll just have to wait and see how it goes. Yeah. But I know it's always a first time for an experience.
So many people are using Zoom now, so I think it's just Oh,
yeah, because my school's been doing that. Yeah.
Mm. Oh yeah, they're doing lessons by Zoom and everything. Yeah. Oh, we've got people coming on now. Yeah.
Oh, a lot more people are coming on, are they?
Yeah, there we go. Brilliant.
Oh. Ooh.
Huh?
Another one, like you said. Oh.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Evening.
Hi. Good evening. Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
Evening.
Okay, so what's the idea here? We're just waiting for others to come on board, huh?
Can't hear you, Morris. You're on mute.
Where is he?
Yeah, here he is. Yeah.
Yes, we're waiting for about 3 more key players.
Okay.
As they still pile on to the
Hello. I'm going to put the music on.
Hi, Carly. Right, let me go and get my headphones.
Hi, Imran. Holly, hello.
Hi, Morris. I'm going to put it onto mute and listen, and then unmute it. And I'm going to take it off and put it on video. But my granddaughter's here with me, so she's watching. She's busy watching something on Netflix. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So I'm gonna put it onto mute. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Speak to you in a bit.
Yeah. All right, darling.
All right, mate. So we're just waiting for 2 more key players to come in, and then we'll start the session.
Hi, Morris.
Who was that?
Yvonne. It says
Yvonne?
Empress iPad.
Hello, Yvonne. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Long time no see.
I know. We need to catch up off the table because there's some things coming through. I've sent you a few emails through today.
Okay, definitely, yes.
All right.
Yeah, give me this. I need to get over this session alive, and then and then I can have a glass of wine and start looking at emails. You know.
Okay, no problem.
But thank you for coming. Thank you all.
I was just going to say I've forwarded it on to a couple of people in youth offending because they're quite key
right,
into this, I think.
fine.
So just for them to hear. But I'll do the same. I'm mute.
We'll just give it another few more minutes. I'm waiting for 2 key people, and then we'll start in about 3 minutes' time, if that's okay.
Okay.
Are you waving?
Yeah. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Mark.
You're
and
right.
even everybody else who I don't know. Yeah, I'm good.
Hiya. You alright, Bon?
You're all right.
Yeah,
I'm good. You?
Yeah,
good.
yeah. It's great. You know, so many people in here. So yeah, let's see it populate.
Mm.
God, while we were waiting, I was watching TV last night, and they had a TV program about a group of young people who were having a Zoom conversation. It was just so weird. So you've got this screen where everybody, you can see all the faces, and the whole thing is played out through their conversation and everything on Zoom. I thought, wow, things have changed so much.
It's a sign of the times, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. I thought, wow. So how are you, Maurice? All right.
I'm very good, Barbara, yes. Excited about this meeting.
Cool.
Nervous about this meeting. I'm just waiting for one young man and then we'll start. We're still having people coming into the room and people trying to come in, so we will start. Again, thank you all for coming to the meeting. Hello, Brina. How are you? Jacob, hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi. Sabrina, hello.
Oh, hi, Sabrina. Oh, hi, Lillian.
It would help if I unmuted. Thanks for your patience. I'm just waiting for one person. If that person doesn't arrive in 60 seconds, we'll start and get going. Okay. Thanks everybody for coming to the meeting. My name is Maurice Thor. I'm the host. My company is CoLab Training Academy. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what I do when I do my presentation later in the meeting. Just to let everybody know, we are recording this live on Facebook. It's also live on YouTube. We're not going to use any of your photographs unless we give you your permission. We will be taking minutes later and send everybody who wants a copy of the meeting later on. If we can ask people to send questions through the chat room, if you want to have a conversation or you want to say something, let me know through the chat. And then as we go through the speakers, we'll ask questions after the speakers. Thank you for people put live first, for probably not me for the last couple of weeks. It's been a bit nerve-wracking. The team involved, Beatrix and Tiffany, for your work. We've got Ron Bourne, who's playing a pivotal role in this. The young mayor's team who are involved as well in the future, and Nigel as well. Thank you for your help, and also Evadne Bygrave. Thank you for all your support. The meeting is co-hosted by 3 parties. That's CoLab Training Academy, Stephen Lawrence Trust, and the Young Mayor's team. And I suppose the objective to the meeting was that through the COVID-19 impact, I wanted to personally do something to support the youth, the BAME youth in the community, and also understand their impact and what could I physically do about it. So I wanted to do something in the way of getting collective organisations who are in the community to work together. I spoke to Ron and he said it's a good time because they are doing something with Stephen Lawrence Trust and the Young Mayor's team. Why don't we get together? So this is where we are now. And if you look at the data, people talk about the data, the facts are in South East London and the BAME community are probably getting hit harder than most of the other communities in the way of education, in the way of health, in the way of employment, and also their career. So these are some of the points we wanted to address today. And also the data shows a lot of our organisations, we don't work together. I'm a very avid, most of you know me in here, and I'm very strong on networking, how we can work together collectively and promote our businesses and work together. So the idea today is to see what we can come up with. I just don't want another meeting for meeting's sake. I'm looking for us to collectively work together to form groups and to take action plans where we can do something for the youth and for the COVID-19 impact. And it's not just another Zoom meeting, but I'll talk about that later. So we're looking at today, we're looking at opportunities, we're looking at the issues that are taking place, and more importantly, what's working well and also the solutions. What I tend to do is to put these things together, and then I get a team around me who can add some clarity to it. So the clarity in my wingman is Ron Bourne from Stephen Lawrence Trust. I'm going to ask Ron to talk for a few minutes on what our goals are and what we're looking to achieve. Mr. Ron Bourne.
Hey everyone.
Hi.
My name is Ron Bourne, Community Development Manager of Stephen Lawrence Charitable Trust. Yeah, thanks Maurice for the collab. No pun intended. When Maurice and I first started talking about this particular collaboration, the background to this was really I felt a lack of focus on the impact on young people of the COVID-19, both the pandemic itself and the impact of the lockdown. One of the things that came to the fore in terms of issues, I actually got information from some feedback anecdotally from the likes of Jonas, who's on the call here with us, Jonas Andrew Phillip, one of our Lila alumni and public speaker extraordinaire. Well, no laughing matter, man's a superstar, what can I tell you? But out of conversations with Jonas, it seemed to me that there needed to be more digging into what young people were going through. I mean, we all had our ideas because we're all of us, more some than others, directly involved in youth projects and our stakeholders in youth development in Lewisham and around Lewisham. Feedback I got from Jonas and some other people spoke a lot about mental health issues, isolation, and the more we dug, the issue of the potential of a lost generation, or at least a year, which in many cases can lead to serious setbacks in life and really extending discrimination and exclusion that BAME communities already face. So one of the things that another thing that came specifically out of the discussion that I've had was the issue of young people feeling like they're definitely going to lose out a whole year and they have no idea what the future brings. So the uncertainty of the future was another big concern. So why does all this matter? Well, in the other work that I've been doing, there's been a lot of talk about food parcels, about helping families, but not anything to do with young people specifically. I know from decades that every time there's an issue with young people, it always catches people by surprise. You find huge turmoil going on, and oh my God, what happened to the young people? Why are they behaving this way? And nobody really knows because they're not paying attention to the steps that lead up to this. So I thought, let's try and get ahead of this as a network, as a community. So I thought, I spoke to Maurice about what we were doing. I spoke to Jacob, who's also on the call, Jacob Sakil. Spoke to Katie Brown as well from Mayor's team. And we all kind of had the same idea. I mean, obviously we're biased, we're youth stakeholders, but we more than most are thinking, because we're in touch with young people regularly, we're thinking something needs to change. So something needs to be done. But first, obviously, we need to find out what it is. So we started doing a survey. We started anecdotally. I asked a few Lila students, that's Lewisham Young Leaders Academy, for those who don't know, to do some surveys among their friends. I just gave them the broad strokes of the kind of questions to ask and what we're actually trying to achieve. And we got some more feedback from that. That qualitative approach helped me to devise a questionnaire, which the aim of which was to get some more quantitative information. So I found out, first of all, what a lot of the key issues were. And now I wanted to find out how bad these issues were and what kind of quantities we're talking about. So I've circulated that to many of the stakeholders here. Those who haven't received it, apologies, you'll get it in due course. But the idea is to help to develop this space. And most of you here, I'm sure, know what evidence base is important. If we want to get this, if we want to get when we find out what it is and we want to get a project together or any work together, it's going to take money. Where does money come from? Likely, we're going to have to get it from trusts and foundations. Obviously, we'll try to get it from other places as well, but trusts and foundations is usually the first port of call. And trusts and foundations are going to want to know what is the need. You need to be specific, obviously, about the need that you are trying to address. So that is really, I'm coming right round to the purpose of the collaboration. It's really the search for data. And the data that we try to get is across as many of our stakeholder partners as possible. Of course, the better quality data we can get, the more we can put together an evidence base so we can make an argument for the young people of Lewisham. So with this in mind, we're hoping to get all of the groups around the table to share this evidence base, and everybody can put together their own application, joint applications to trusts and foundations, so that we can try and get some income in to help solve this problem. I think that's it in a nutshell, Maurice.
That sounds very good, Ron. And one of the things that how we collaborate is we all need support in different manners. And the youngsters today are going through a tough time, so there needs to be some clarity. And I'm glad Ron's on board to give clarity, because I'm pretty straightforward talking. So apologies about that. I'm going to move on quickly now. I want to thank very quickly the sponsors for tonight, and Richard from Coming Up Restaurants for supporting and sponsoring. If we could just have a quick word from you, Richard, before we move on. You're on mute.
Yeah, I got it. Hi, good evening, guys.
Evening.
How are you doing?
Right.
Hey, Rich.
Glad to see there are a few friendly faces. Hi, Susan. Hi, Ron. Hi, Daniel.
Hey.
How are you doing?
Yeah. Again, thanks very much, Maurice, for having me on board. Seems to be a pretty good cross section of all that's available in Lewisham. So I'm really hopeful and praying that something will come out of this. But as I mentioned, Susan and Daniel, I see that they're on, and they're doing lots of work at grassroots level, grassroots level, right on base, with the youth. So anyone who doesn't know Daniel and Susan, I'd suggest you get to know them. And apologies, and Irvin. I see Irvin on board as well. So good evening, Irvin. Yeah, so you should really get to know those people, because they literally work on the ground. Their feet are firmly rooted on the ground, and they have extensive knowledge of what's happening in the borough. So please use that. I mean, I just see that as a wealthy resource right here and now. And those are whom I know. Obviously, we're all here because we have some waveform or we have something that we can impact youth with, impact circumstances, and therefore bring an improvement. But just to say who I am quickly, because sorry, I'm a bit of a talker. I'll cut it short. I own Coming Up. Coming Up's a chain of Caribbean outlets, food places, restaurants, takeaways. I'll also say in a few days' time, we're 29 years old. We started June the 1st, 1991. So as I say, in 3 or 4 days' time, we are actually 29 years. And I say that because I was born in Lewisham Hospital, school in Holbeach Road in Catford, a primary school. I went to school, secondary school at Catford Boys, which is no longer up Brownhill Road where the petrol station is, for want of a landmark. My parents were married in St. Lawrence Church on the Bromley Road. I was christened in the old, the old St. Lawrence Church, that is, and the site of that is where Lawrence House is now, hence the name. So where the lorry car park is behind Lawrence House was the site of the original St. Lawrence Church, and the new one came about in 1966, 67.
Keep it short for me, Richard, please.
Sorry.
Keep it short for me, please.
I'm sorry. I'm saying. I know I'm going into my. I'm saying all of that to say this. I know a lot of Lewisham. I know a lot about Lewisham, and on the day-to-day basis, we see. I've seen you. And there's a huge need for what we're doing, and let me just cut it there. Thank you all for being involved, because I'm just going to start rambling. Apologies.
No, thank you, Richard. Thank you for sponsoring. And one of the connections, one of the reasons I'm doing this event, because I want to connect with people. I want to network, discuss now, do training for youth who've got disabilities, people who are getting exclusion, and we're planning training sessions in the future where they can work at Richard's restaurants, learn about catering, hospitality as well. So thank you for your support, Richard, and I look forward to working with you in the future with others in the room. I want to, first of all, talk to some youngsters who are in Lewisham and let them give us an idea of what they are going through and what their friends are going to, and what's been successful. I've got 2 speakers. I'm going to start off. Are you there? Danielle? Anybody seen Danielle? No?
Her name on the screen, Danielle.
She was here. She was here. No.
Hello? Sorry.
Yeah.
Hi, Danielle. How are you?
Muted. She's
Hi,
muted.
hi, thank you.
Good. Are you ready for us now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've just explained that you're going to talk a little bit about what the concerns are, what's working, and give us a perspective of a young person. So yes, fire away. Tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us your thoughts, please.
I'm Daniel, currently in year 12. I was part of the Stephen Lawrence Lila program as well, and I started my social enterprise youth entrepreneurship scheme this year. That helps to that hosts events to help teach young people about entrepreneurship. And currently during this pandemic, a lot of young people, especially in year 9 and year 10, are struggling to get work experience because they can't be in the office and stuff. So if it could be made virtual, if like companies could offer virtual work experience. Also, I know that mentoring is really powerful as well. So if they professionals could offer mentoring to young people as well, I think that would help them as to and guide them through figuring out what sector they want to get into.
Okay. Has anybody got any questions for Danielle at all? Mark, you've got a question?
Sure. I guess with everything that's been going on with COVID-19, there's been a lot of focus with adults and what's going on with adults and what we think about COVID-19. So I suppose I'm very interested to hear from a young person from maybe a teenage point of view. What do you think the new normal might look like, or what have you kind of been doing during this time?
During this time, I've been trying to get myself a bit more organized and also try and learn new skills as well. So I'm trying to improve myself, like get into a certain routine as well. That would be beneficial for after 19 when we all go out. Like I've been trying to wake up like around 5, get certain things done during the day as well. So I keep active as well, so I don't get disrupted when we go back out. And I think this is a good time for a lot of people to reflect on themselves as well and take a step back and look at how they were doing things and how they could actually improve. Because most of the time it's just work, home, whatnot. Sometimes we don't make enough for our friends or even for ourselves to make sure we're doing well and we're not exerting ourselves. And also, I think the new normal, I don't know, I think everything will like change totally if everyone is not stuck on the new normal, or like if everyone is not stuck on everything going back to normal, or things would be I don't think it would be similar to what it was, but then like it would take a lot of, I think about a year or so before people will start going to really large gatherings as well.
Okay, then. And I know I've got solutions that I'm going to present later in the presentation. One of the things that I'm doing is working with youngsters and giving them the opportunity for work experience. And I think that everybody in this room should have somebody working youngster, whether they are working from home, and giving them work experience, because they're there waiting. They want work experience, and I think we've got the businesses, we've got the knowledge, we've got the experience. So please consider work experience for young people who are looking for help. That's my view. I've always had a youngster on board.
Marie, can I ask a question? It's Moila from Success Looks Like You. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Go on.
Just a quick question to Danielle and maybe some of the other young people that are in this meeting. But Danielle, you mentioned virtual work experience. Like, what would that look like in terms of it being a benefit for you? Like, what would you want to get out of a virtual work experience opportunity?
So essentially, let's say, giving them tasks to maybe run your online profiles or whatnot, which would help them also learn about branding and marketing, because you have to implement that when you're running a social media account for a business. And then also getting in contact with you and talking to you as well. It helps in their minds as well, like open up their minds as they're learning from someone with a different perspective. And you might also be able to open your network up to them as well, or inspire them and maybe give them advice on what's going on in their life as well.
Thank you.
Fantastic question.
Reece.
Thank you for that. Guys, we're going to have to move on quickly. If we can take two questions from each speaker, I'm just conscious of time. I'm going to bring the next speaker on. This young man has got potential. I've heard him speak many times, and I'm looking forward to this presentation. Jonas, are you there, sir?
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm going to get Beatrix to put up your presentation, and then if you can just let her know when you want the next slide, please.
Oh,
yeah, okay?
Cool. Yeah. Cool. I'm not sure if everybody see me, but it's okay. But I like to be stand up when I talk, even though we're quarantined right now. So in my mentality, I'm still with you guys. You know what I mean?
Can I just say something? It's Stuart Lawrence from the Stephen Lawrence Trust in this little speech. Just on that last point about offering help and for young people, I would just like to personally say, like, I'm always willing to help young people and any young person on any sort of platform anyway to where I can. And my first thing to say is that I go out and do lots of talks, and I always say to people, I'm willing to offer help and guidance. And it's sometimes people also take a bit of the initiative and to put themselves out there a little bit as well. So as we are as adults, a bit older people, really, I think sometimes young people need to show a bit more initiative and ask what they need.
Can everybody mute their microphone? Thank you. It's a very good point, Stuart. I'll note that, and I'll follow it up with things that we are progressing with as well.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Are you ready now, Jonas?
Yeah. Cool. Are you 51% more likely to achieve your goals if did you know that the country is the greatest time? Did you know assets that we possess? And guys, I'd like to ask you, close your eyes and imagine. Just close your eyes and imagine for me. Put it in your head right now. Imagine a caterpillar slowly and concisely being forced into a cocoon. And that caterpillar has three things that could come out as. Three different. The first thing, it can come out a dead caterpillar. Second thing, and the third thing, it can come out a butterfly. And guys, essentially, this is what's happened to us. We are caterpillars being forced into a cocoon right now. And this is an analogy that somebody who came on my podcast a few weeks back used. And I loved it because it's so true. And trust me, I can tell you right now, it's an extremely challenging time for society right now. And I'm so happy that an event like this is on, because I think people are overlooking the impact this could potentially have on young people. And it's had such an impact on young people. I was seeing so much negativity on apps such as Snapchat and Instagram. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to delete these apps and just learn about myself and just stick myself for a few days. And doing that, Maurice called me up. And I was like, yo, you good, Maurice? And Maurice was like, yeah, I'm good, Jonas. How you doing? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. And Maurice is like, I've got an event coming up, a great conference. Would you like to speak? And I was like, you know, I got you, Maurice, of course. Then he said, well, Jonas, there's one little task I got to ask you to do. And I was like, yeah, hit me with it. Can I have the next slide, please? So I was like, yeah, hit me with the next task. Can I have the next slide, please? Hello?
You here?
Yeah, thank you. So I was like, yeah, hit me, what's the task? And he said, I need you to go on social media apps and ask young people what their biggest challenges they're facing right now. Could you go back, please? Could you go back? Yeah. Go to the, yeah. So he told me, Jonas, could you go and ask young people what the biggest challenges that they're facing right now? And I was like, cool, okay, cool, I can do that. So the first thing, obviously, going on Instagram. Instagram, I've got quite a decent following on my Instagram. You can follow there, bottom left. I've got my socials there if you want to follow. So like, yeah, I've got quite a decent following on Instagram. I can do that easily. And then I realized, oh, no. I have to go back on Snapchat. I was like, no, I don't want to go back on Snapchat. There's too much negativity, too much stuff that young people are letting manifest within them, which is negative. I was like, it's cool. I'll go on it one time. I'll do it for the culture one time. So I went on Snapchat. And I gave Ron and Maurice the answers that a lot of people were giving me. But there were three main challenges that personally stuck out to me. And I thought, okay, we're going to have to do something about this. Have the next slide, please. So the first challenge that a lot of young people have been facing was firstly, click next, please. Trying to use time wisely. And the next one was not having freedom. And the third challenge that we got was boredom. A lot of young people are feeling bored during this period. So I thought to myself, what concept or phrase can I use to underpin these three challenges? And then it hit me. Kings and queens, I feel that our young people are struggling with adopting a growth mindset. Now you're probably thinking, what do you mean, Jonas? What do you mean a growth mindset? What are you talking about? Well, I'll explain to you what I mean. Now, I'll give you 5 seconds. Pick up anything near you and just hold it in your hand, please. Give you 5 seconds to do that. Now, that which you are holding in your hand right now can be stolen from you. It's like your money, your car, and your jewelry. Yet, your mindset cannot be stolen from you. And there's 2 types of mindset. There's a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Someone with a growth mindset looks for opportunities in life and tries to strive for great things in their future. Someone with a fixed mindset thinks everything's bad in life and they can't grow and the world is against them. And I feel that a lot of young people think that they have a growth mindset. And I was even at this point once in my life as well. But I thought I had a growth mindset, but there were consistent challenges happening in my life, which really tested and humbled me to understand what point I'm really at. And a lot of young people need help with that. And can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. So this quote by Nelson Mandela just sums up perfectly. And this quote is, I will never lose. I either win or learn. And a lot of young people have written off this year already. They said 2020 is done, let's get to 2021. But we are 45% of the way through 2020 and they've given up already. They need to understand and we need to support them. And I'm a young person myself, so I'm making sure I'm helping my peers with this as well. Supporting them to understand that, okay, there's nothing we can do about the fact that the first part of 2020 may have not been good in your perspective. And trust me, a lot of people have lost loved ones in this period and we're all with them. We need to support them too. But there's 2 types of people in the world. Those who see opportunities and challenges and those who see challenges and opportunities. This is out of our circle of influence. We cannot control this. This is in our circle of concern. So if we stress on the fact that we're in lockdown right now, even though there's nothing we can do about it, it's just going to manifest and the negativity is going to take over us, and that is where the fixed mindset comes in. However, if we have a growth mindset and say, okay, what can I do during quarantine so that it turns me into a butterfly when I come out of quarantine? Because I'm a caterpillar right now, but what can I do to make sure I'm a butterfly and I fly when I'm out of the situation? Can I have the next slide, please? And guys, I feel there are two areas that I feel we should support our young people on focusing on, because it's two key areas in life. And the first one is goal setting. As I said at the start, you're 51% more likely to achieve your goals if they are written down. And it gives you more clarity in life and better vision to strive for. One is having a good schedule. Danielle said earlier, she's waking up at 5 a.m. That's what I'm talking about. We need to support our young people to understand that. You think that waking up late at 3 p.m. is cool? Nah, that's what losers do. You gotta wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. so you master your morning, because that's how you become a millionaire. And a lot of our young people say, I want to be a millionaire. They don't care what field they go into, they just want to be a millionaire. And we kind of need to take them out of that mindset too, because that's not going to help them. They want to be a lawyer, but they don't know what law is about, and they don't enjoy law. They just want it because of the paycheck. They need to understand, and we need to support them to understand that the money will come when you're passionate about something and you're fulfilling it and working hard on it. Next slide, please. So I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this story. I'm going to switch up and use a quote. And this quote is, anything is possible as long as someone has support. So forget what's on the slide right now. So anything is possible when you have the support. So what I'm talking about with that is everything I said today underpins support. We're all here. Stuart said we need to help our young people to have intuition because sometimes they're not fulfilling it. And I agree with Stuart. He's 100% right. And unfortunately, I've had to understand the fact that some young people need extra support than others, and they may seem like they're being defiant. However, we need to have the emotional intelligence to understand the young people that need extra support. And Joel, Ron, Danielle, everybody, Maurice in the chat are doing amazing stuff for young people. I'm not going to name all the people because I'm seeing some big people in this chat today. And trust me, I feel honored to be among you great people. And you guys are doing amazing stuff for young people, but everything I said underpins support. Supporting our young people to write effective goals down. Supporting young people to have great schedules and waking up early in the morning. Supporting our young people to adopt growth mindsets and take an essence of it. And when we do that, kings and queens, our young people will be able to sow seeds where they can bear fruit from, and the people coming after them can bear fruit from in the future. So they have an amazing future and the dreams they want in life. And that all starts today on the 27th of May, 2020. And we can do that by helping our young people understand that some people see this as a problem. But if you're going to be a winner in life, you've got to see this as an unexpected opportunity to grow, learn, and therefore strive for great things in the future. Anybody that says in the bottom left, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Jonas. Thank you, Jonas. Well put, young man. Well put. I'm going to take two questions for Jonas. The simple reason is we've got a lot to get through. Anybody got a question for Jonas that they'd like to ask? Raise a hand or give me a signal. Anybody? Yes, Richard, you're on mute.
Hi, Jonas. Good evening. Very nice presentation, and thanks very much. Insightful, but what I think also should be said, as bad as this is, and yes, once in a lifetime and everything, all what's been said, it's all been said. In the scale of life, it's only been, we talk about secondary spikes and everything else, but from where we stand and what's going to happen around about the 15th of June when things start to open up a little again, it's in the scale of time, it's only a short time. The issues, what you speak about, were there before. So, I would encourage you, as I encourage my children, and I'm not mean to name drop, but one of them you might know of him, and that's Tweeko, who did the Coldest Lineup, Jonas. You might know him. Tweeko, the producer. That's my son. He's actually, and I didn't know what this is, he's actually got a blue tag. He's been verified now. He's, and that's sort of just working off his own back since he was 14. and just perfecting his craft. So I would encourage you to encourage others that as much as it's, you speak about Boredom and the rest, we're all in the same position. And the youth have an advantage because I'm here touching screens on Zoom and I'm not 100%. But you guys seem to have this as second nature. So be encouraged and just tap into what do what you do, essentially. Teach us, speak to the elders, and because I think there's a huge disconnect, particularly with the technology. And as was said before by a contributor, you've got to encourage others to be vocal, and they have to say best they need the help. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
I say to that. But can I answer that?
Yes, please do.
So
quick as you can, please, Jonas. Sorry for being blunt.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think this is something that I've had to recently, which took me a long time to realize that yes, we have all of this stuff. We have the social media, and it is second nature to us. But some young people lack the intangibles to be successful. They don't have the confidence that some people are naturally born with. I wasn't born with confidence, for example, because all confidence is an output, not an input. You're confident at the things that you do regularly. And a lot of our young people don't have the networks or people around them to support them to know about great skills like consultancy or public speaking or entrepreneurship. They don't know that. So all they think about all day is their friends. We have a lot of knowledge in our fields. We can change the world, because the next generation, I'm telling you, I'm not being biased, but we've got all this social media in front of us. So to be honest, we should change the world in a great way. We have the world at our oyster of everything that we have right now. And this virus is going to be something that was talked about. This is going to be in GCSE history soon. But I feel that we need to, as Danielle said, and Maurice said also, we need to help our young people and give them mentors. And this is why they fall into a life of crime, because they don't have that older person to guide them through stuff in life. So yeah, I agree with what you said, but we still need to find a way to put ourselves in their shoes, because that's how we're going to win the moment at the end of the day.
Question, Maurice?
Yes, please.
Okay, my name's Paulette Watson. Jonas, a fantastic presentation. I have read the book by Carol Dweck, A Growth Mindset. The question I have for you is this: how can teachers, youth leaders, or leaders encourage a growth mindset for our young people? What strategies could you give us from your perspective? Thank you.
Thank you. Great question. I'd say that we have to find a way to do it in a way where it doesn't seem like we're not only preaching them, but also linking it to them. So first, you got to get to know them. You got to connect with them. So you got to get to know what they like, and then find a way to adopt growth mindset and say they like basketball. That's easy. You can say, even if it's sports in general, because sports is a lot about mindset, right? That's how people get trash talked and not off their game, because they don't have the right mindset. And I feel that what we need to do is find a way to embed growth mindset, you put on top of it, without making it seem like we are, but we're low-key teaching them about it and training them to grow and strive for it from whatever they love in life. Because remember, people don't have fun doing what they're doing. Sorry, people don't do well in what they're doing unless they're having fun most of the time. So to know certain people and incorporate these lessons, even money management lessons, do that through whatever their craft is, whatever they love, then we'll win them over and they'll be amazing people in the future.
Okay. Thank you, Jonas. Appreciated. Fantastic presentation. And I totally agree with your thoughts and sentiments. I know we're going to be working to come up with some common solutions. I want to bring Joel in, Joel Dunn. Joel works with doing a lot of good work with younger people, and he can give us a younger view, a perspective on the work that he's doing, and another view on how the community are feeling. And then we can start talking about solutions and what we can do creatively and what we can do in the way of mindset. So after Joel, it's going to be Barbara Gray. So Barbara, if you can prepare. Joel, thank you for coming, mate.
Hi, Maurice. Thanks for the opportunity. You're throwing me under the bus a bit, putting me after Jonas, though, aren't you? Yeah. No, it's nice to see so many familiar faces. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the founder of Paradigm, which is a specialist prevention mentoring service. Our overarching aim is to help reduce serious youth violence, but focusing on prevention, we have a slightly alternative approach by exploring the themes at the root of the behaviour instead of looking at the symptoms of violence itself. So our school-based approach focuses on primary schools, and our aim is to identify and disrupt problem behaviours or underlying issues before they become entrenched or escalated. So over the last year, we've been working closely with young people and other community groups to understand the needs of young people in that group and how we can best help them. Out of that has become a specific interest of our organisation about the transitional phase from primary to secondary school, and how that phase can be better supported, and how young people are often kind of lost through that transitional phase and not given the support they're needed to succeed in secondary school, and then picked up at a later stage where behaviours have escalated or become a problem. COVID-19 has obviously had a massive impact on that transition. So the year sixes who would have had the last half of their primary school year to build those tools and to equip themselves with the skills and even just the preparation that they needed, the practical preparation they needed to make that a smooth process as possible. They've missed out that whole section of that last year, and that's really going to affect the transitional phase. And that led me on to what I see as a major issue for older youth and the community as a whole. And I've called it the reintegration challenge. So the educational reintegration challenge, especially affecting those who are in a transitional phase. So my main focus that my organization focuses on is going from primary to secondary school, but the same can be said those who are going from year 11, then going into post-16 education, whether that's college or sixth form, and then those who are going on from college to university. So I think there's general things that will affect everybody who's going through that process. You know, things like general well-being, mental and physical health, and trauma recovery. I was reading an article about COVID and the effects of education on the weekend, and there was a very interesting quote I saw from, his name is, I'm going to read it, his name's Professor Lee Elliott Major, and he's an expert in social mobility at Exeter University. He said it will be a huge task for teachers to enable children to catch up when they do return to school. And the real fear is that some of the children will suffer permanent education scarring. And that last bit, suffer permanent education scarring, really stood out to me, especially when we consider that in anything that affects the community as a whole, especially in a pandemic like this, it's going to be the poorest and the most vulnerable that have been affected most. And we're all aware, I'm sure, as being members of the B.A.M.E community, that there's been disproportionate statistics around B.A.M E COVID infection and B.A.M E deaths. So even when you look at data published by the Office for National Statistics, as Black men and women are more than 4 times as likely to die from coronavirus than white people. And I'm sure similar statistics or seen those things in the media. And what I think we have a real responsibility to do is make sure that 2 or 3 years down the line, we're not reading out stark statistics like that, talking about the B.A.M E community and how they weren't given the support they needed, reintegrating themselves back into education. I think that more needs to be done now. And there's a responsibility by us to be active and not reactive in providing the B.A.M E community and the most vulnerable amongst them the support they need in reintegrating back into education. I think this is a very complex thing to do, and I think it needs to be a collective approach, working with statutory organisations and community groups, especially those who have their ear to the ground and understand the needs of their young people. I think also it's about reminding ourselves that no one person has the answers or the blueprint. It's something that we're kind of all in as a new experience together, and therefore it's something that we'll have to journey together. And I think, you know, putting our ears to the ground and really finding out what the needs of the young people is such a key component in us being able to provide a successful and robust solution. I think it's important that we're able to preempt the biggest challenges by speaking to young people, but also to be adaptable throughout the process as understanding and needs develop.
Brilliant. And that sums up the reason I wanted to do this this conference and to work with Ron and the Young Mayors group, is because we've got to collectively work together, not just what we are doing, but thinking outside the box for the young people and where we can support, educate, and give them inspiration. So I totally get that. Any suggestions for Joel? Well, I've got a quick question, Joel. Why did you get into the work that we're doing? Very brief answer, please.
a brief answer to a long story. I'll say more to focus on the school age group. I wanted to kind of see where I could influence changes in community rather than just in the individual. And I think that was born out of my frustration of work. Making really good progress with one, and I feel like you're never really going to change a community, the theme, something that's going on, unless you at its root issues. So that's where my kind of shift in focusing the younger cohort came.
Imran, you wanted a question?
Yeah, hi there, guys. Hi, Joel. Loving the work you're doing. Just, I think I've got a couple of different backgrounds. So one of the things I was looking at was how are people kind of looking at the kind of difference between the loss of education and this kind of where people are getting predictor results and stuff like that to go on with for the next year. Because I think that's the only thing I kind of hear about a lot of the time, is this kind of where the predictor results are, where people aren't real, they could do better or whatever. But then there's that difference, as you were mentioning, of where we've got in our community, more people are dying of these. So these kids are going back to school, not only having missed a chunk of education, but having family members passed away.
Yeah.
So it's the whole grieving process as well. It just feels like it's being missed in a kind of combined way.
I think one of the phrases we hear bandied about a lot in youth services now is a trauma-informed approach. And the importance of understanding trauma that has happened in a child's life to be able to give them the support system that they need later on. And I'm massively behind, the impact of trauma and adverse childhood experiences. And I think that level of understanding is so important. So when we look at something like this, it's something that is essentially trauma en masse, and to greater or lesser degree, it's going to affect people in different ways. And a lot of that, might not even play out within the individual until a lot later on. So yeah, I think that's kind of part of the point of what I was saying is I think not just does there need to be support with reintegration back into schools, there needs to be B.A.M.E specific support or support that is meeting the needs of the most vulnerable people that we're talking about.
Are you getting any sense that's even being looked at or not?
Well, just in response to what you said about the predicted grades, I've had the opportunity of working with Irvin. I know Irvin's on the call in his special educational provision in Catford. So I've been working with young people and also have spoken to a lot of year 6s and year 7s about the transition phase and what are they worried about. And it's important to kind of understand what are their main concerns. And a lot of their main concerns are quite simplistic things like I didn't get to say bye to my friends and now I'm going to a new educational establishment. I missed 6 months of school and now I'm going to be in a completely new school in a new environment, and these are the same things that apply. And just the anxiety and the worry, and I know Ron mentioned about the uncertainty as well. It's none of us really know what the school environment will look like in the future. We might have predictions or have seen mock-up drawings in the media and stuff, but it's going to be a new normal for everybody. And that's kind of, if we're saying as youth services and people that are trying to help young people, it needs to be a collective approach. I think such a key ingredient is understanding the needs of the young people and making sure that they're part of those conversations. And that's why I think things like today are so important, that it's not just adults or professionals sat around the table, is that there has to be input from young people.
Okay, thanks, Joel.
Maurice, can I just say something quickly?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sorry. Hi, Makeda. I am really just blown away by everything I'm hearing, especially from the young people. I, being me, just wanted to put a positive spin on everything because I know that it can be so easy to get into the negative. And I think one of the things we really need to also acknowledge is giving the young people a lot more credit than we give them sometimes, because I have come across some really resilient young people that are still working really hard, even though they're in the position that they're in. And some of the other things that I've come across, it's the adults that are more anxious than the young people. So, I think we need to give our young people a lot of credit, really, for their resilience and how they've been handling in the lockdown. And also, you know, props to the educators that have really been trying hard to continue some sort of consistency with education, because this is new to everybody, and how to handle it new to everybody, and even adults that are in education as well. So I just like to add that little bit of positivity in there.
And going on to that, guys, as we go through the presentation, we want to know about the success stories and the programs that are going on at the moment where youngsters can get involved with. I had an email today from the Forest Hill Job Centre, and she sent me all these jobs that are available and all the training programs that are available and support. I know some people don't like the Job Centre, DWP, but there's also a lot of support out there that is not reaching the youngsters. So that's a bit of a challenge I'd like to discuss later on. Before I go any further, you've got loads of people asking you questions on Facebook and live on YouTube. I'm going to ask you to answer one question, if you will. And the question is, where do you see the support you need coming from the most? Where do you see the support you need coming from the most? And if you can make it brief for me, please. And then Barbara, you're next.
I would say it needs to be from anybody that's successful, in any means successful, that is similar to them. This could be race, gender, similar area they came from, just anything like that. Because I feel that a lot of young people feel downhearted because they don't see any. A lot of young people because they don't any excelling. They don't feel that because all they see on the news and the media is negative stuff about people that look like them. However, there actually are amazing people that look like them doing stuff, but they need to be exposed to, and we need to find a way to make sure we find those young people with tons of potential. Because I'm telling you, in the past few years, we probably unfortunately lost a lot of young people who have tons of potential to change the world because we haven't caught them at the right time, unfortunately. And we can. I'm not saying that it's done for them. Like at any age, you can. Like the founder of KFC was 66 or something like that, and he got rejected over 1,000 times. So anyone can do it at any age. It doesn't matter when you start, but we need to make sure that we find people that look like them to empower them to reach their goals.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jonas. And I apologize, Jonas. We can't have all your questions answered on YouTube and Facebook. You must have a huge following, and that's good to see. Keep up the good work. I want to bring in Barbara, Barbara Gray. Barbara has got a lot of hats and has a lot of knowledge in the community, and hopefully she can put some spin on the health side of things, and if there's any projects taking place and what sort of support mechanisms are available.
Right. Well, good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me? I've got a small picture of myself. Yeah, health has been my passion for a very, very long time. And I think the thing that made me realise the importance of health was when my father died about 8 years ago. And he was well in his 80s, but he was up and about, always doing things. And he just suddenly just died. You know, he went to bed and just never woke up. And the cause of his death was the fact that he had high cholesterol and he had a heart attack. And it was just at a time when he as a man was really engaging with his family and his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And we were just having such a fantastic time learning about each other and just spending that time. And that was just like cut off, just like that. And it was totally, totally unavoidable. So that made me realize when I looked around and saw my nephews and nieces and how gutted they were, and looking at everybody else who had their grandparents around, and then really looked back at our community and said, well, why is it that our children don't have the opportunity to have those same life experiences with their aunts, uncles and grandparents? And it's down when I look at the health outcomes and think, this is unavoidable. So that has really put me on this train, really. And anybody who knows me will know that I will always talk about these things, because I think we're entitled to have a good long life and a good long healthy life. And when I look around at people my age and I see so many people who are ill, and I just think, well, you know, you've got another 30 years at least, but you're not going to enjoy it, and your family are not going to enjoy you to their best. So for me, in terms of health, I mean, the COVID-19, when I heard early on that they said that this was going to impact on people with multiple health issues, I got scared at that point, because I knew that in Lewisham, a lot of the Black community will have high blood pressure, and they may well have diabetes, and that will be almost standard, and they may well have something else. And here we had something that was more likely to be detrimental to people like that. So I was kind of worried about that. We've got a very similar population to Birmingham in terms of Lewisham having the 3rd largest Caribbean population in England. And early on, when I was looking at what was going on in Birmingham and seeing that they were the highest concentration of a city, and I'm thinking, what's going to happen here in Lewisham? So over the last couple of months, I'm part of the community, and I've just heard of so many people who've lost people, who've been ill and recovered, and just how everybody else is really scared. And today I went down to Pepys Estate and came back and just heard about how scared people are down there to even come out of their house because of what people are experiencing. But on the other side, and there's always got to be a positive side, there are people now who are thinking about their health, and people who should have been thinking about their health for a long time, now thinking about it. And we're going back to some of our heritage and what we used to do. So things like when we used to have a cup of tea when I was growing up, somebody was saying they had the orange peel hanging up and you used to use that to make tea. I grew up cutting the mint in my garden and making tea, all those kind of things, and going back to what we used to eat. But what we have to think about is our portion size. Because if we look at the traditional foods that we eat, they are so high in nutritional value, but we don't always eat them in the way, or we feel that we shouldn't do because we're told that they're not the right thing. But it's about getting to grips with that. I think there's something around looking back at some of the older people. I know a woman who's 92, and she has had a couple of falls recently. And normally when an old person falls, that is usually not a good sign. And that woman hasn't even broken a bone. And I'm really curious to know about her life, that she can be at 92 and be very well. She has got some issues, but on the whole, she's pretty well. And to be that robust. And there's something that's been lost, really, in terms of how they lived, how they, what they ate, and just about how they carried about their lifestyle. Because when you look at the statistics, it is well known that NHS services only cover 20% of the things that impact on our health and our well-being. So if we think if that's the case, we've got this whole NHS services, but they can only deal with the things that impact on 20% of our health. So it's all the other factors, and it really starts at a really early age. And I'm in a position now where I can see a young woman I know, and she's got a 2-year-old, and that child is so bright, so carefree, just running around. You just watch that and you just think that child could be anything. But you can start to see the pressures that are on her mum that will now start to play out on her. And those are the kind of things that start to make an impact on a Black person's life. Because you're feeling that stress, and children can pick up stress. And that really is where things start. And that feeling of disappointment. So the education for me, I've got a strong passion about. And when children are going to school and all they're hearing about is the fact that they are failing from a very, very young age, by the time you're 11, well, you've soaked that all in, and all the impact on your health and well-being and your mental well-being has already been set. So I think, all the work that's being done with Jonas and with everybody else that I know that's around here that's working with young people is really, really, really important in terms of setting that resilience for children. I think also we've got to support young parents. And I know my generation, I get told all the time, and I have to take it on the chin, is we're not here to always, we have this thing around being very strong and telling children off. And I think what they want is love, and you support your parents, you support young people to be parents all together. with their children. And that in itself helps to parents to stay calm. They've got support, and having that support network really is very, very helpful. And I think that's something, and you've talked about how can the older people help. You can support young people, young parents in particular, because that will make a massive difference. And just spend time with them. You know, sometimes I try to take time and say, let's just take on a Saturday and go and do something nice and something different. And it gives them ideas about what they can be doing as parents. In our health and our lifestyle, we're quite stressed. And I think the COVID has shown that for the Black community, we have a lot of discrimination, which is not new to us. We don't have a choice about whether or not we can or cannot go into work because we're facing danger of our life. And all that level of stress actually creates a lot of the long-term illnesses that we face. So when, you know, NHS are talking to us about, you know, what you eat, those kinds of things, the biggest part, I feel, would be to try and find a way to deal with the stressful aspects of your life. And if you're supporting young people to come up to be the people that they are, they have their own personalities, they have their own, they are really in terms of that they're able to do and achieve. And I think, you know, if you can support them so that they can come up in life and they're not carrying all this great deal of stress, they get a great deal of difference. That makes a difference to their grandparents because everybody worries when they're not doing well. And we're all working very busy lives. I'm the worst for not getting enough sleep. But also we do have to think about our diet and what it is that we're eating. It's very easy to fall into the trap of eating things that aren't healthy. But the one good thing, well, there are a number of good things, but one good thing that's come out for me after COVID is where I shop. You know, and I shop in the places where the majority of the population don't shop. And I discover a Sri Lankan supermarket, and you go in there and find some amazing things. I thought, well, I haven't seen that for a long time. And I'll go into the Caribbean shopping cafe. You go to places, and I've started to eat differently. And some of the things that I don't do that anymore. And you can really feel a difference in your health and what it is that you're doing.
Oh, so, sorry. Can I ask a question? Is there any support organisations where people can get support from or advice regarding the stress and the support mechanisms?
Well, I think in terms of what is for that is the NHS have got the services, but historically they're not services that are so therefore people don't really feel to go to. But I mean, there are lots of things that are out there, and there's lots of things online. And for the young people, they set up their own things, and it's really interesting sometimes to sit in and listen to them on their YouTube channels and what they talk about, and some of the things that relieve the stress. What has happened, and I think is going to change, is that the black GPs in Lewisham have come together to form a network because they work in it and they've seen what's missing and where there are gaps, and there are gaps. And we've got to think about the future. So I think that's going to be an opportunity actually to have a change, that we can have things that are more relevant. So I think, you know, in terms of what's out there, you know, if you go to your GP, they have access to a load of information about what is out there. If you go onto the NHS website, there's loads and loads of information. So I think it's, you know, it's about what people know works and what people refer, because I think that's going to be the best thing. But there are gaps, I've got to say. And I think Jonas's point about this trauma-based approach is really going to be important going forward. And I think the more of us that can adapt and understand what that works and have that in our lives, I think that would help. We need to be empowered ourselves to deliver the solutions, because I think this stands clearly isn't working. I think has worked in the past, and do some things for ourselves and support ourselves in doing that. And, you know, we've got all of those people right here.
Okay, I've got a lot of guys. So if you look in the chat room, you'll see a lot of the questions. I've got a question, Barbara, from Paulette. Currently, there's a high percentage of 5 and 6 5 to 6 year olds who are obese, what can we do to support parents to help support their children on a low budget?
Right. So I think around who you manage on a low budget. When I was growing up, we didn't have very much money, and I think that's the thing that's kind of kept